This is a tropical fish being burned alive, and this is an edible wiener dog. I put every Minecraft item through Google Translate way more times than you were supposed to, and then I made whatever result it gave me. I started with some of the most OP items in the game, netherite armor and tools. I don't know who Nesertic is. I drew some flames over the sword, and then I colored it red. This sword looks cool, but I have no idea what it has to do with Nesertic. Next I did the pickaxe. Take the nurses. That's weird. I didn't really know what to do for this one, so I just drew one of those nurse helmets they wear. I'm kinda confused how this hat is able to mine through stone. Next I made a shovel and I got Bill Natry, but I don't know who Bill Natry is, so I just decided to draw Bill because nothing comes up when you search Bill Natry. For a netherite axe I got low credit, so I drew a credit card, and I actually thought this one looked pretty good considering it's 16x. This must be Mr. Beast's credit card, it's very powerful. For the hoe I got anchor stone, so I drew one of those anchors that they use on boats. I don't think I needed to say that, I don't know what other type of anchors there are. Next I did some netherite armor, Veil of the Nethers. I tried to make a veil out of the same colors as the helmet, but it kinda looks like a giant netherite nose. For the chest plate I got under the skin. I don't know how to make organs, so I just colored it blue because that's the same color as Steve's shirt and it said skin in the translate. Next I made pants and I got a single platform, so I drew a YouTube logo because YouTube is the platform this video is on. If you're not watching this video on YouTube, I will be reporting you to the police immediately. The last netherite item is boots, and I got a shoe that doesn't fit. I just drew a really big shoe that obviously doesn't fit. This is all the netherite armor in game. Honestly, this is kinda drip, especially the nose helmet. Now it's time to translate some random items. Spectrum index. I don't know what that means, so I just colored the arrow rainbow because that's a spectrum. Next I did a tipped arrow. Diagonal axis. Apparently this is a diagonal axis. I don't know what the colors in the background are for. For a glass bottle I got glass, so I tried to make a glass texture. It didn't look that good. And for a fermented spider eye I got broken eyes, so I just cut the spider eye in half. This spider won't be seeing anytime soon. The eye is already removed, it has nothing to do with him. Next I did a blaze powder. Okay, we got dust map. I drew a map and then I put a bunch of dust on top of it. This kind of looks like a saltine cracker with some weird gray stuff on top of it. For a glistering melon I got candlelight, so I drew a candle and it kind of looked like Ferb's nose. And for a clock I got view, so I drew a window with an epic view on the other side of it. Okay, it doesn't look that great, but the view I'm imagining looks a lot better. Next I did a phantom membrane and I got It's a Good Movie. Shrek is a good movie, so I copy pasted a picture of Shrek's face on top of it. Next I did both a splash potion and a lingering potion. For the splash potion I got the medicine is finished, so I drew one of those bottles that they put pills in. And for the lingering potion I got strong plants, so I drew a plant and put two arms flexing coming out of the sides. I think this is my worst drawing yet. This looks terrible. Now it's time to do some other types of armor. First I did a leather helmet and I got a leather hat, which is pretty much what it is, so I made this brim to distinguish it from a helmet. I don't know how to add the brim in game, so I just did this. Next I made a chest plate and got leather jacket. I cut some space in the middle, added some sleeves on the side, and then I colored the jacket darker. This would actually look pretty cool as an item in Minecraft. Not sure about when you wear it though. For the leather pants I got his pants fell down, so I drew a man with his pants all the way down to his legs. And to finish the leather set I got leather shoes, so instead of just making shoes, I decided to turn the leather boots into rocket shoes, which are much less boring than regular shoes. I also did the gold armor set. First I made the gold helmet as a top hat, then I made the chest plate as a chest full of gold. Next I made the pants as Polish gold, and then I made the boots as just regular shoes. I don't know why the boots always translate to shoes, it's very annoying. I also made both of these sets of armor as a model. Don't look at the leather set, my pants are down. Because we did gold armor, it's time to do some gold tools. To sleep. I drew some Z's on the side of the pickaxe to make it look like it's asleep. Next let's do the axe. Golden axe. Since the word axe is smaller than axe, I decided to make a little tiny axe. This looks like something from one of those mods where they make everything really complicated. For the golden shovel I got golden cave, so I drew a dark scary cave and put a bunch of spots of gold all over the walls. For a golden sword I got a golden sword. That's what I just said. And since the translate added an A in front, I decided to make a sword shaped into an A. This is the new Alphabet Lore Minecraft mod. The final golden tool is the hoe, which I translated to a gold rose, and then I started making some stone tools. The stone axe would not stop translating to stone axe. Why is the translate actually working for once? So I made a battle axe because I can only do a certain amount of translates each day before Google bans me. The stone stone shovel became a stone face, so I tried to make Squidward's house. This was actually pretty accurate for not looking at the picture. It also kind of looks like this guy. I translated a stone sword and it gave me a stone knife, so I just, yeah. And then for a stone pickaxe, I got he picked me up, so I drew a man picking up a tiny man. I take back what I said earlier, this is the worst drawing I've ever made. The last stone tool is a hoe, which translated to the scale. I drew one of those scales that people use to see their weight, and I think your mom stepped on the scale. I'm sorry to any moms listening. For the next category, I did a bunch of boring items, so I'm going to speedrun those real quick. This is melon seeds as a pumpkin on a tree. This is a spawn egg with permission. This is a book and quill as paper and brush. This is a map as on the other hand. And this is a fireworks star as to sleep again. I don't know why I keep getting to sleep as a translate. For the prismarine shard, I got the heart as like a prism, so I made the shard into a heart shape. And for the prismarine crystal, I got glasses are important, so I drew a pair of glasses. I think I made the nose part a little too big. These would only fit the nose helmet. A couple other items I did was the popped chorus fruit as don't let it happen, the beetroot seeds as a carrot, and the shulker shell as a really bad version of the Minecraft logo. But one of the most interesting items I translated was the banner pattern. Okay, we got science of love. I drew a heart in the middle and then I added a science code around it. This actually just looks really weird. I don't think it's that interesting. I also made the nautilus shell as the end and a disc fragment as the entire earth. Ignore the placement of the continents. This is definitely an accurate earth. Everybody knows that food is the most important meal of the day, so next I translated some foods. Okay, we got age. I gave the rabbit a gray beard, a monocle, and a walking stick to make it look old. Next I did cooked rabbit. Cook the rabbit meat. The rabbit meat is already cooked, so I put a fire underneath to double cook it. Hopefully it's safe to eat a campfire and a metal rod. For glowberries, I got they have fresh fruit, so I drew a person and made them hold the glowberries so they had fresh fruit. And after that I translated sweet berries and got it is a sweet fruit. So I made a strawberry because those are very sweet. I probably could have just left it as sweet berries, it kind of says it in the name. For raw mutton I got to cook, so I drew an oven with what is supposed to be mutton inside of it. It kind of looks like the mutton is a tongue and the buttons are eyes. Next I did cooked mutton and got delicious food, so I decided to draw my favorite food. Man, I love eating these. Comment if this is your favorite food too. There are a lot of foods in Minecraft, so I decided to speedrun the next few. I turned raw cod into a person shoveling transparency outside of their house, and then I made raw salmon into the old Minecraft fish. I made a tropical fish into a burning hot fish. I'm not sure how it's on fire if it belongs in the water. And then I made a puffer fish into two puffer fishes. Next I made a potato and I got potatoes, so I just put more potatoes behind it. And then for a baked potato I got to be easy, so I colored it green because green is the color for easy. I probably wouldn't eat the green potato, there's definitely something wrong with it. Next I made a beetroot. Okay, we got black paper. I just used the regular paper texture and then I turned it black. For dry kelp I got these words, which translates to a small dog, so I decided to draw a little wiener dog. This is definitely not what they meant by hot dog. There's still so many foods to go, so I did a few more, like this raw beef as a club from the cards, this cooked cod as a Wi-Fi symbol, this cooked salmon as... I don't really know what this is actually, and this rabbit stew as rabbit juice. But it's time to move on from foods and do the rest of them later, so let's do some chain armor instead. Helmet chain. That's what this is supposed to be. It's a helmet chain. Next I did the chest plate. Heart grinder. I drew some spikes on the top and then I struggled to draw a heart underneath. I don't know why anyone would want to wear a heart grinder on their chest plate. That sounds dangerous. For leggings I got porcelain leggings, so I tried to make one of those porcelain patterns on the pants. And for the chain boots I got shoes and chains. It looks like these guys aren't getting out of jail anytime soon. This is a wood axe with a pause sign over it because it translated to wait. And this is a wood hoe with a mouth and some eyes because it translated to let's talk. I wonder what the wood hoe has to say. For a wood sword it just kept translating to a wooden sword, so I just left it as a wood sword. And for a wooden shovel I got work, so I drew a person with a construction vest and helmet and gave them some type of shovel thing. Now I can hire somebody to do my shoveling for me. It probably hurts though. There are still over 100 items left to translate, so I started doing more random items next. Bicycle. I drew what is supposed to be a bicycle. I can't tell if this drawing is really good or really bad. I'm going to go with bad. I don't know where the handlebars are. For a recovery compass, I got Innovation Campus. I drew a picture of what I think is a school. I'm not really sure. I dropped out. Don't do that, by the way, kids. I don't want any parents telling me you dropped out of school. I translated a turtle egg and got I'm sick, so I turned the turtle egg green to make it look sick. And then I made a warped fungus on a stick and got mushrooms grow on trees. So I drew a tree and then I added some red and brown spots to look like mushrooms in a tree. Weird how I'm able to use a tree to control a strider. I made a scoot as a book with a turtle skin cover, and then I made bricks as cream, and then I tried to make a brain out of clay, and I also turned paper into the letter A. This kind of reminds me of something from another video. I'm not sure what. For glowstone dust, I got city, so I added some sky, drew a bunch of buildings, and then I put some yellow windows on them. I wonder if this city is powered by glowstone. Next, I made an ink sac and a glow ink sac. For the ink sac, I got eye hid, so I drew somebody hiding behind a desk, and then for the glowing sac, I got a long black bag, so I made a long black bag with a golden handle on the top. Now it's time to translate every dye. I'm actually too lazy to do that, so I only translated purple, and it gave me except this. I decided to color the purple dye every dye color in the game except for purple. See that? Now I killed every bird with one stone. You can't really tell which color is which though. For cocoa beans, I got soon, so I made a picture from a video that I'm making soon. You can't really tell what's going on, it's a little undetailed. And for pumpkin seeds, I got clock, so I drew a very bad clock. Just ignore the dots that are supposed to be numbers. There are definitely 12 and they are all in the right spot. Now it's time for me to translate some diamond armor. Head. Yeah, that's where the helmet goes. I ended up drawing a messed up looking face, and for the actual helmet, I copied it on the front and added some hair on all the other sides. Honestly, I think this helmet looks really good. There is nothing wrong with it. Next, let's do a chest plate. I don't know why it keeps giving me body parts. I decided to just draw an arm because that's what it said. I then copied the arm over top of the chest plate and made absolutely no effort to make it fit. Even though I did that, I somehow got the arms in the right place. Not really sure why they're so big though. Next, I made the leggings and I got rubber. I could have colored the pants rubber color, but instead I turned it into a rubber duck because I'm a duck. I then drew a duck's face in a questionable area of the pants and colored the rest yellow. These are the pants in game, let me know if you would cop. For the boots, I got boat, so I literally just copy pasted a boat on top of the boots. I then made the actual boots boat colored. This is probably the most normal piece of armor I made, even though it shows up as a boat in my inventory. The shield is kind of armor, so I translated the shield. This is a mystery. Because it's a mystery, I just deleted the shield texture completely. It turns out you can't delete textures though, and it just made the shield all black. Alright, now that I've made the shield, I have a full armor set. Guys, let me know if you would wear this. Next, I'm going to be translating some ores. I am a tree. I drew a tree body and added some leaves on top, and then I gave it a smiley face because the tree is alive. Next, I translated an emerald. Monaghan? I don't know what that is. Apparently, Monaghan is a place in Ireland, so I drew a 4-leaf clover because that's Irish or something. Guys, never let me draw a clover again. For iron, I got iron pot, so I just drew a pot which basically looks like a big bucket, so I added some handles on the side so you can tell the difference. Next, I made gold and I got turned down. I didn't know what to do for this one, so I just made a road sign but put a down arrow instead. I don't know what roads you can turn down on, but that's not my problem. Next, I translated a netherite ingot, which isn't technically an ore, but it's an ingot, so whatever. I got bad netherite, so I gave it an arm holding a knife with an unspecified red liquid on it, and then I gave him 2 angry eyes with an upside down smile. After that, I decided to start a hardcore series. Okay guys, so I did some mining off camera. Now I think it's time to build a house. Yo, edit this part out. Alright, now that the house is done, we're going to build a giant ring of biomes around it. I also translated some other ores, so here are those quickly. This is a copper ingot as a suitcase. This is redstone as blackstone. This is lapis as onyx stone. Okay, I think I made the wrong type of onyx. This is Japanese coal. And finally, this is amethyst as a person. Also, I know amethyst isn't an ore, I just thought it fit here. Now that we've translated some ores, we need something to mine them with, so let's make some tools. Okay, we got certify. I decided to draw one of those certificates that they give out at school for good grades or something, and then I added this line, which is the text, and I put one of those sticker things in the corner. It kinda looks like I'm holding a hammer. Honestly, I'm surprised my pickaxe still works now that it's made out of paper. Next, I did the sword. Okay, we got sword, but big. For this one, I decided to make a really fat sword because I didn't really know what else to do. Guys, rate my sword from 1 to 10. You'd think it would do more damage because it's bigger. I give it a 0. Next, I translated the axe, and it just translated to ah. For this one, I wanted to make the axe yelling, so I added a mouth on the front, and then I gave the axe a large tongue, and finally I gave it an eye, which has nothing to do with yelling, I just wanted to do it. I can understand why the axe is yelling. I would be too if someone kept slamming me against a tree. For the shovel, I got spade. And a shovel is a spade, so I made the thing from the cards instead. Okay, this looks terrible. Instead of adding it to the top of the shovel, I just drew the spade instead, and it ended up looking much better. This thing would actually look kind of cool if it was a weapon, but it's just a shovel, so it's useless to me. Next, I translated the hoe. Okay, I got Adam's hat. Who is Adam? I looked up Adam's hat and found someone wearing a yellow hat, so I tried to make a yellow hat, but it was hard because tools are usually made sideways. The only reason this looks like a hat is because I know it's a hat. I am also not Adam, so I have to throw this away. I'm not allowed to have it. Next, I made some things that are technically tools. For the bow, I got plastic bags, so I made a plastic bag. That's it. Next, I did a crossbow and it said rainbow, so I added a rainbow gradient over the crossbow 5 times for all the phases. The crossbow looked normal when I shot it, but I can't say the same for the regular bow. For flint and steel, I got stone and iron, and that is basically what flint and steel is, so I decided to replace the flint with a stone block and the steel with an iron ingot to literally make it stone and iron. For shears, I ended up getting therefore. I didn't know what to do for this, so I just turned the shears into a mouth and gave it a tongue and one angry eye. The reason I did this was because people might say therefore in an argument, so he's meant to look like he's arguing. Now for the final tool, I made a fishing rod and I got Midon? I couldn't figure out what Midan meant, so I looked it up and saw this picture from a restaurant, so I decided to make the plate with the food on it. I even made it so when I cast the fishing rod, the plate empties. Isn't that cool? For the next category, we're going to be translating some foods. First, I did steak and I got meat. I'm pretty sure steak is meat, so I decided to color it a weird color and add a question mark so it's mystery meat instead. Would you eat this? It kinda just looks like bread with a question mark. Next, I translated an apple and I got lake. I added a big pool of water and then I drew this boat with a big red flag in the middle. I will not be taste testing this one because my mom told me not to drink the lake water when I was younger. For chicken, I got you cannot, so I just put a big red X over the chicken, meaning I can no longer eat it. Next, I translated bread, and I got a piece of bread, so I turned it into a slice of bread and put a nice patch of butter in the top corner. For cake, I got pockets, so I made the cake into the shape of pants, and then I gave it 2 pockets. I kinda forgot that cake is a block, so really the only one I can eat is a slice of bread. It tastes really good. The yellow part really gives it flavor. Next, I made a cookie and I got dirt, so I just cut the shape of a cookie out of dirt. My mom also told me not to eat dirt, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's in the shape of a cookie. For the golden carrot, I got a golden beginning, so I made a certificate again because that was the first thing I made in this video. Now for the final food item, I translated the golden apple. Okay, we got liver. I decided to just draw a liver, which is somehow the most normal food out of all of these. Alright, liver taste test. In-game, not actually. I would never eat that. Wow, it actually gives me a lot of potion effects. Maybe the Liver King was right. Alright, now that I've done some foods, it's time to translate a bunch of random items. The first item is the totem, which translated to down the totem pole. For this one, I just made a totem pole, which was kind of hard to do when it's this small. But it doesn't look that bad when you hold it or when you die, so that's cool. Next, I translated the ender pearl, and I got a Japanese word which translated to shell. It turns out I have no idea how to draw a shell, and I'm not even sure if I got the color right because I was thinking of the gas station. For the Eye of Ender, I got I do not know, so I cut the shape of a question mark out of the original texture. This is how it looks when I throw both of these, if you wanted to know. For egg, I got in bed, so I drew a red Minecraft bed around the egg as if it was sleeping. This kind of looks like one of those egg drop projects, so let's see if it works. Nope, the egg still broke. Next, I made a snowball, and I got viburnum, which apparently is a plant that looks like this. I drew some leaves around it and then turned it yellow to match the little white things on the plant. Next, I made an arrow, and it didn't seem too happy with me, so I just drew an angry face. For a bucket, it translated to 2 with a quotation mark, which sounds the same as the number, so I copy-pasted another bucket beside it so there was 2 buckets. Next, I made the water bucket, and I got a glass of water, so I drew a wine glass around the water and added a little spill on top because it was overflowing. Finally, I translated a lava bucket and got rooms, so I decided to make a 2D picture of the back rooms. Placing the back rooms on the ground and having it turn into 2 buckets looks quite interesting, but honestly I kind of like the back rooms art. Not the buckets though, this sucks. For the next category, I decided to make some items that come from the nether in the end. First, I translated nether wart. Okay. I don't know who was released, but it doesn't sound good, so I drew some iron bars around the nether wart and made the ones in the middle look like they were broken and the nether wart is escaping. Next, I made a blaze rod and got this. I decided to make a night sky with some thumbnail colored grass in the bottom, and then I added some stars, and finally I added the sun instead of the moon. For the gas tier, I got there is nothing wrong with yelling. Why are these so scary all of a sudden? I drew a man with an exclamation mark coming out of his mouth to show that he's yelling, and then I put a green check mark over it showing that it's okay. Next, I made a potion and got house or tent. It's nice that it's giving me options. I decided to just make a little house, and I gave it a door with 2 windows which looked like eyes and a mouth. Great, now you can't tell what any of the potions are without reading them. Also, I like how the man yelling is in the top left. It's a true work of art. I made a few more nether items but don't feel like showing them, so here's a nether brick as a name tag with a cool and original name on it. Here's a netherite scrap as low sodium. Next we have quartz as a low res emoji holding up a thank you heart. And finally we have a fire charge pointing at you. Now that we've done the nether, it's time to do the end, and there aren't that many items in the end, so first I made a chorus fruit. Okay, I'm gonna re-roll that one. That's better. I didn't know what to do for this, so I just colored it purple because product color, I guess. Next I made an elytra and got little wing. For this one I just made one of the wings smaller, and I made both of them small on the model because it turns out you can't edit the wings separately. Next I did dragon's breath and I got this is a dangerous city. Apparently Tijuana is the most dangerous city in the world, so I'm going to draw a picture of it. First I added a road in the bottom corner, and then I added this arch and a couple of palm trees. After that I added some buildings behind them, and finally I added some water and some sky in the sky. Next I made some items you find when you make a new world. Okay, we got I will plan. I made the stick smaller, drew a piece of paper, and then I added this arm to make it look like it's writing a plan. I thought it would look better in game, but it doesn't. If you spawn near an ocean, you usually make a boat, so let's do a boat. My car. I don't have a car, so I decided to make my dream car instead. I drew the body, added a spot for the window, and then I gave him his eyes, added some yellow spots, and finally I drew his tires. Ka-chow. That was him, not me. In a new world, you usually steal wheat from villagers, so I translated wheat. I don't know what that is. Apparently that word means health research, so I drew a heart. Next I did a carrot. I got go to school, so I drew a picture of someone's mom yelling at them to go to school. This part is supposed to be an arm, by the way. Also, I am eating someone's mom. Books are usually found in villages, so I translated a book. Okay, we got to reduce. They always tell you to reduce, reuse, and recycle, so for this one I decided to draw the recycling sign. Okay, maybe I should have done something else. What is this? For seeds, I got the enemy, and the enemy of seeds is probably fire, so I drew some fire. Actually, it doesn't seem to be burning them, so I guess it's fine. Never mind, that was the wrong fire. I also ended up making raw chicken, and I got chicken, so I just drew a real chicken. And then I made a sapling, and I got frog, so I drew a bright green frog. I didn't know this is what they meant when I ordered the full chicken. Also, this is the new sapling. Hopefully it's not poisonous. For the next category, I made some tools. Okay, we got the knife. All I did was make the sword smaller, turning it into a knife. It's funny because this pack now has the biggest sword and the smallest sword. Now let's make the pickaxe. The chicken is ready. I already made a chicken for raw chicken, so I tried to turn the pickaxe into a chicken. I drew a beak, added the red thing which I think is called the goiter, and then I gave it some eyes and colored it white. Finally I drew some wings, and then I gave it some goofy looking feet. Who knew that chickens were so good for mining? Whoops, I burned the diamonds. Next I made the axe. I got X as a binary number, so I drew a light pink X, and then I gave it some things on the top, and finally I added his face. It's alphabet lore letter X if you couldn't tell. For shovel I got iron rings, so I turned the top part of the shovel into a ring like this. I'm pretty sure this defeats the purpose of a shovel because all the dirt would just go through the hole, but whatever. Now let's make the hoe. Okay, we got steel shoes. I copy pasted iron boots on top of the hoe, and then I changed them a little bit to make them look cool. I also made a couple things that are technically tools. Here's the trident as a ship, here's the spyglass as me, and for the carrot on a stick I got remembered, so I made a subscribe button in case you forgot to subscribe. The pig is literally chasing me to do it, you have to. Now it's time to make some random items. Listen to the recording. Okay then. Next, let's do the heart of the sea. Then I walked. I drew some legs under the heart of the sea, and then I gave it some red shoes to make it look like it's walking. Next, I did a goat horn, and I got this is not the end. I drew some end stone, then I added some end pillars, and finally I filled in the sky and added a big red X over it because this is not the end. Next, let's do the echo shard. This is salt. I drew a Ziploc bag and filled it with what is obviously salt, just like what it says. Wait, why are the cops outside? What did I do? I did a honeycomb and got there was no one there, so I added a floor and a wall, drew a table, and then I put this banner thing and added some confetti. This is a picture of one of my birthday parties when I was a kid. Next I made horse armor and I got search now. I decided to just draw the search thing that shows up on Google, but it doesn't really look like it. For the nether star I got not life, and the opposite of life is death, so I drew the Grim Reaper because he is death. This is supposed to be the scythe if you couldn't tell. For firework rockets I got a sign, so I drew a brown stick, added a wooden sign, and then I put some black lines on it which is supposed to be text. I also had to check if a sign shot up in the air, and I'm happy to say that it does. I made sugar and I got along the Sawyer River. Apparently this is the Sawyer River, so I drew some water, then I added some trees, and finally I added some sky in the sky. Do you think this looks like the picture? I don't. Next I made a minecart. His name is Football. That's kind of a weird name. I drew a football and gave him a face because he's alive. I also don't really know how to model this one in game, so here you go. For a saddle, I got Wiedza Janotsky. Apparently this means knowledge and skills, so I made a light bulb because that is usually associated with knowledge. It's funny because I know that. Okay, it really isn't. Now that I finished making random items, it's time to make some armor. Metal shoes. Iron boots are already metal shoes, so I just made them a bit darker so they don't look like iron. Next, let's do the pants. Okay, we got iron bones. I drew some white bones over top of the pants, and then I added some darker ones in the back to give it some detail. Next, I made a chest plate. We got creates a sample. For this one, I wanted to make a Costco sample, so I drew a plate in the middle, and then I drew some mystery orange food on top of it. Unfortunately, I got caught lacking though, and the sample was actually a Burger King hot dog. For the helmet, I got a metal box, so I made the helmet into the shape of a box, and then I added a line in the middle to make it look like a chest. This is what each individual armor piece looks like in game, and this is all of them together. Let me know which one looks worse, the iron armor or the diamond. Now it's time to make some food items. First, we'll make a pork chop. I got country, so I drew a Canadian flag because I'm from Canada. We'll just ignore the maple leaf, it looks fine. Next, I made mushroom soup. Okay, we got mushroom juice. I drew a white juice box, added a yellow straw at the top, and then I drew a picture of a mushroom in the middle. I don't know who would drink mushroom juice, but do what you want, I guess. Since I made soup, I decided to make a bowl, and I got it suits you, so I drew a black suit, and then I added a red tie on the front. Because I made the bowl, it looks like I have to drink the mushroom juice now. Now it's time to make a honey bottle. Pots with honey. I made a big pot and filled it with honey, and then I made it drip a little bit on the side. Next, I made pumpkin pie, and I got a pumpkin, so I drew a pumpkin, that's it. For rotten flesh, I got a bad feeling, so I decided to make my own custom emoji. I added some eyes and some eyebrows, and then I made a weird looking mouth. After that, I decided to make the emoji look more green instead, and then I added some red cheeks for detail. This emoji looks really weird, so I wouldn't eat it. It's also rotten flesh, so I wouldn't eat it anyway. Next, I made a spider eye, and I got spiders, so I just made a spider. Would you rather eat a whole spider or a spider-sized spider eye? I hope neither of them poison you in real life. For melon slice, I got melon colors, so yeah. Next, I made a poisonous potato, and I got they poison the potatoes. I made the potatoes smaller, and then I drew someone in an astronaut suit, which is supposed to be a hazmat suit, and then I made them poisoning a potato. Milk is kind of a food, so I translated milk. I got a glass of milk, so I drew a blue glass, filled it with milk, and then I made it overflowing on the side because I always do that. Because I did the milk bucket, I decided to translate some other buckets as well. Here is powdered snow as touching grass. Here is a pufferfish bucket as a glass of water. This is a salmon bucket as salmon cake. And this is a tropical fish bucket as food and fish. The thing on the bottom is food, if that's unclear. The next bucket I did was a cod bucket, and I got promise. I heard you promise to press the subscribe button, so I made the subscribe. Next, I made the axolotl bucket as gold fishing, and this is the tadpole bucket as candy corn. Now it's time to make some cave things. First, let's do raw iron. Will be discussed. Period. I drew a face with a mouth open and a tongue to show they are discussing something. After that, I added a weird looking eye. Minecraft really changed the caving experience in 1.20. I am burning realistic Pac-Man right now, this is crazy. Next, I made raw copper and I got every time. I drew a clock and then tried to make it pointing at every hour, but that was impossible to do in 16x, so it kinda looks like some kind of anime item. Next, I did raw gold and got good news. I drew a newspaper and then I put a check mark over it, confirming that it's good news. For a gold nugget, I got 1,000,000 gold, so I made the nugget smaller and then copy pasted it everywhere. After that, I made an iron nugget and got money, so I drew a really green dollar bill, and then I became rich in Minecraft, ironically with the two worst materials. Next, I made charcoal and got chat with, so I made a chat bubble. And then I did flint and got you can, so I drew a check mark over the flint showing that you can. For the next category, I want to do some mob drops, so first I did string. Okay, we got equivalent. Yarn is kind of like the equivalent of string, so I made a ball of yarn. The crafting recipe for wool actually makes a lot more sense now. For gunpowder, I also got money, so I re-rolled and got still no money. I just wrote $0 on a white background because I didn't know what to do. Next, I did a feather and got the water tank is full, so I drew a water tank and made it full. After that, I did leather and got during the summer. I colored the sky blue, added some thumbnail glass, made a tree, and then I added the sun and some clouds. Next, let's do a bone. Out of class. I drew a floor and a wall, added a desk and a whiteboard, and then I drew a person leaving the class. Next I did rabbit hide and got a rabbit was born. Kinda the opposite happened actually. I tried my best to draw a rabbit and it actually ended up looking kind of good. Now when you kill a rabbit, you just get a rabbit. You also get a chicken when you kill a chicken, so that's cool. I did a slime ball and got a little tar goes a long way, so I found a picture of a road and then I cut the shape of a slime ball out of it to make a tar ball. I did magma cream and I got you think about it. I thought about it for a while and I decided to draw a brain. I'm going to be Google translating Minecraft items and then making whatever result I get. First let's do some diamond things. And we got Battle of Diamonds. For this one I didn't really know what to do, so I just decided to make the pickaxe look like a battle pickaxe. The pickaxe looks kind of fancy, but unfortunately it just does the same amount of damage. It didn't make it any better. Next I'll do a sword. And we just got diamond. I can't remember why, but for this one I just made the sword really fat and undetailed. Let me know if you would use this sword texture. I honestly think this looks really good. Next I did a diamond axe, and it just gave me some letters that translate to Diamond River. For this one I just put a bunch of sand around the diamond axe, and then I filled in the rest with grass to put the diamond axe in the place of a river. Would you rather PvP with this or the diamond sword from before? Personally, I'm picking the sword. I hate axes. For a diamond shovel, I got my pearls, so I used this filter to make the diamond shovel into the shape of an ender pearl. And for a diamond hoe, I got more weird letters. Apparently, this means beautiful jewelry. I decided to just turn the diamond hoe into a nice diamond ring instead. Honestly, both of these are jewelry if you think of it. It's just I'd rather have one a lot more than the other. Next, I translated a diamond, and we got in advance. Alone is sometimes called in advance, so for this one I just kept the diamond the same. The only difference is now I owe it back to somebody with interest. Diamond armor is also made of diamonds, so let's translate a helmet next. The jewel in the crown. This is probably the best thing I could have gotten for a helmet, because a crown is basically a helmet already. Imagine if I got crowned for like the pants or something. Next I did a chest plate and I got diamond chart. I just made a really big piece of paper like this, and then I drew the diamond on the paper. I'm not really sure if this counts as a chart, but it doesn't look that bad when I'm wearing it. Next for the leggings, it gave me diamond. So I had to double up on the diamonds by adding a diamond on top of the leggings and then adding another one that takes up the entire background. I'm not really sure how to make this into an armor piece, so this is what I came up with. Finally for the boots, I got diamond shoes. And diamond boots are basically shoes already, so I just lowered them down a bit and added some red on the bottom of the shoes so that they can be light up shoes. Who needs armor trims when you can have light up shoes instead? They don't actually light up, unfortunately. Now that we've done the diamond stuff, it's time to do some of the other ores in the game. And the first ore is a gold ingot. Bangalore Babu? I don't really know who or what this is, but I know Bangalore is a city. So I just took the Bangalore flag and made it fit inside the texture. Next, let's do an iron ingot. Machine tools. I decided to just draw some kind of machine tool. I don't know, this is what I found when I looked it up. For a netherite ingot, I got Nitrate International, and this is a picture of nitrate, so I decided to just draw this picture to the best of my ability. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look the same, but it also doesn't look good. Both of those are bad. I don't know why I said but. A copper ingot translated to copper, and something that can be made from copper is a penny. So I drew a big copper colored circle and drew someone's head on it to make it a penny. This is for motion picture use only. This is not legal tender. For an emerald, I got ruby, which is actually kind of convenient because a ruby for some reason is an actual texture in the game. And then for coal, I got plan. I took the same piece of paper from earlier and put a bunch of lines on top of it, which are supposed to be a plan. The interesting thing is this still makes sense being used as a fuel. Next, I translated redstone. Okay, we just got red stone. For this one, I decided to change the redstone dust into the shape of a stone, making it a literal redstone. This kind of just looks like I took it out of the ore without turning it to dust. Next, I did lapis and I got the region of Lapland. Apparently, this is a picture from Lapland. So first, I drew some snow, then I added a house on top of it. Next, I put some trees in the background and also added some sky. Then finally, I added the northern light looking things in the sky as well. Who did it better, me or the actual picture? Amethyst isn't technically an ore, but I did it anyway. Okay, we got jewelry. For this one, I made the amethyst way smaller, and then I added a chain around it to make it a pendant on the necklace. Now that we've made all these ores, you're probably getting hungry. I don't know what those have to do with each other. But next, I translated some foods. Okay, we got at the bottom. I didn't really know what to do for this one, so I just moved the steak to the bottom of the screen. Next, I did an apple. In surgery. I cut the apple in half like this, and then I put the inside of the apple that is being removed in the middle. I don't know why the apple would go through all this surgery. I was just gonna eat it anyway. For chicken, I got war, so I drew one of those war hats on top of the chicken, and then I gave it a gun like this. And then for bread, I got minus eat. Minus since eat is sorta like the opposite of eat, so I drew mold all over the bread because you shouldn't eat mold. It's not gonna stop me though. The next food I did was a cake, and I got it was too much. So I just removed some parts of the cake to make it look a lot smaller instead, and after that I translated a cookie and I got pie. I took the pumpkin pie texture that is already in Minecraft, and I decided to turn it into a berry pie instead. I'm not gonna lie, it kinda looks like the crust is raw. I'm throwing this out. For a golden apple I got sea of gold, so I drew a sea, and then I put a bunch of small golden apples in it, and then I drew a beach on the shore and added a boat floating on the sea of gold. And for the last food item I did a golden carrot. Okay, we got golden seed. For this one I just took the regular wheat seeds and turned them gold. Somehow now this is one of the best foods in the game. After translating all those foods, it's time for me to translate some random items. I don't really know how I got this from Totem of Undying. I decided to just put a really low detailed Tinder background around the totem. Next I translated a fishing rod. Is true. When something is true, it's usually associated with the color green, so I just decided to color the fishing rod green. Next I did a bow and I got the height. People usually measure height with a tape measure, so I just turned the bow into a tape measure. Guys, it looks like the tape measure isn't working, so I guess this means I'm still 6'7". You can't prove otherwise. For a crossbow I got do you have, so I just put a question mark on top of the crossbow, so it's always asking if you have one. And then I did an ender pearl and I got another ship. I decided to turn the ender pearl into a small end ship like this. I'm really just throwing an entire end ship. That's crazy. For the next few items I'm gonna speedrun them. For the eye of ender I got his eyes were closed, so I made a closed enderman eye. For the XP bottle I got look in the mirror, so I just drew a mirror. And for the egg I got I slept, so I turned the egg sideways and drew some Z's to show that it's sleeping. Out of all of these, my favorite is the eye of ender. I like how it's still able to find the stronghold even though it's closed. I translated a snowball and it gave me it is snowing, so I added a bunch of snowflakes falling down like this. And since I translated a bow earlier, I also had to do the arrow. Okay, we got house. I drew a square like this, added an arrow colored roof, and then I added a door and some windows. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty bad looking house. It kinda looks like a face. For my next items I had a theme. First I translated a potion. He is drinking. You already drink potions, so I just decided to change the bottle into a glass to make a fancier potion instead. Next I translated netherwort. Okay, we got a person. I used the colors from the netherwort and turned them into a person's face like this. I'm not gonna lie, this looks like the evil version of someone you would find on a vegetable can. Forest industry. I don't know much about the forest industry, but I do know that it has to do with trees, so I just drew a tree. Next I translated a gas tier. The voice disappeared. I just added a microphone stand underneath the gas tier because the voice would disappear if the gas tier took over the mic. And now we can make a regen potion using our weird ingredients. I translated shears and got I'm back, and I didn't know what to do, so I just turned the shears around to put the back in the front, and then I translated a bucket and got bro. I didn't even know this counted as a word. I drew some eyes on the bucket and then I gave it a mouth as well. But now bro decided to drink some water, so next I did a water bucket. We got courtesy. It's considered courtesy to hold open a door for someone, so I made it look like the water bucket is holding open a door. Or he might be holding it closed, which is the opposite of courtesy. For a lava bucket I got foot skin, which is kind of a weird thing to get, so I just drew a foot instead of the bucket. And an unrelated item here is a flint and steel, hard coal and iron. I just decided to turn the steel part light to make it look more like iron, and then I added coal over the top of the flint like this. A few more items I did was a fire charge in jail because it was charged with arson, a nether brick that I turned into spinach, a netherite scrap that got turned into a Wi-Fi symbol, and a piece of quartz that is supposed to be a pillow, although it kind of looks more like one of those flour sacks. The next item I translated was bone meal. They eat bones. I'm not sure if dogs actually eat bones, but they definitely chew on them, so I just decided to draw a dog. I can't tell if this looks good or bad. I feel like the face looks kind of like a human. I translated a chorus fruit and got 84 results, so I just changed it into the Google logo because a search engine is where you could find 84 results. And then for an elytra I got good luck, so I made it into a 4-winged elytra because 4-leaf clovers are good luck. For the next two items I did dragon breath and got doctor, so I just drew a doctor's coat around it and also gave it one of those stethoscope things around its neck. And then I did an end crystal and got glass layer, so I just removed the end crystal and only left the glass layer like this. It's still normal on the ground though. I don't know how to change it. I found a list of the most popular Minecraft blocks, and we're gonna be starting with some of the blocks you can find in the overworld. This is a dirt block, and we're gonna be turning it into an obstacle. Okay, so I just made a hurdle out of the dirt, and then I added a white background in the back. Next, we are translating a grass block, and we got animal. Obviously, you guys already know what animal I'm gonna pick for this one, so I drew a yellow head, and then I gave the duck an orange beak. For an oak log, I got blog, so I drew a computer monitor on top of the oak log like this, because you usually would read a blog on a computer. I don't know if blogs even still exist though. Like, when was the last time you read a blog? For oak leaves, we got oak leaves with a period on the end, so I drew a bunch of circles on top of the leaves which are supposed to be periods. And then for tall grass, I got sheep. So we'll just paste a picture of a sheep's head on top of the grass like this. This is actually kind of scary, having sheep heads like this all over the world. Next we'll translate some sand. Canada. For this one I took the Canada flag and made it fit into the size of a block. Now we can do oak planks and the table. I cut a little table part out of the wood plank like this, and then I added some table legs underneath as well. We'll also add a blue background like this because I don't know what happens if you leave it transparent. For water we got underwater, so I drew some scuba gear on top of the water because you need scuba gear to dive underwater, and that concludes all of our overworld blocks. As you can see, this world is looking really weird already. I mean, there's ducks all over the floor, sheep staring at me, but this is only the beginning because by the end of the video, this world will look completely different. So next let's do some cave blocks. In a cave you'll find stone everywhere, and we got at a distance. I just shrunk the stone down so that it appears to be very far away. Deep slate is also abundant in caves, and we got blackstone. Blackstone is already a real block, so I just put the texture of blackstone over the deep slate. It does look a little bit messed up though, because I forgot to change the top. For tuff I got difference, so I just made the top half of the tuff have a difference in lighting like this, and then for the gravel it translated to conscience, so I put a brain over top of the gravel like this. I wonder what the gravel is thinking of right now, guys. I wonder what it's thinking of. Next let's do andesite, and we got alive. For this one I just drew a face over top of the andesite like this. Now let's do granite, and we got freedom. The bald eagle is usually associated with freedom, so I just drew an eagle over top like this. Now we have a duck and an eagle. For diorite we got great, so I colored it green and put a check mark on top, so now it's great. And we haven't done any ores yet, so next I translated iron ore, and we got metallic. I changed the stone background to make it look metallic instead like this. Next for coal ore I got I work, so I tried to make it look like the coal ore is wearing a miner helmet, so now the coal ore can mine for itself. This one's a little weird if you think about it. Now let's do diamond ore. They sell crystals. For this one I just made an amethyst crystal take place of the diamonds. Next I did copper ore and ended up replacing the copper with teeth, and then I did amethyst as salt. And now the overworld and the caves are looking very different, but we are just getting started. Now it's time to venture into the nether, but first we gotta take another look at these caves. I mean, this is something. The most common block in the nether is netherrack. We got netherlands. Just like earlier with the Canada flag, I drew a Netherlands flag over top of the netherrack. Next we'll do nether quartz. We got no city. For this one I kinda did the opposite. Instead of drawing no city, I just drew a city. It was either that or do nothing, because quartz already has no city. For nether gold we got I am asleep, so I drew some Z's on top of the nether gold to make it look like it's asleep. Guys, be quiet, we don't want to wake up the nether gold. And for nether bricks I got clay brick. Clay bricks already exist in Minecraft, so I just put the brick texture over the nether bricks. Next we'll do ancient debris. Okay, we got this place. I drew a nice little house on top of the ancient debris like this. Now let's do blackstone. We got bye. This is a hand waving goodbye on top of the blackstone. Next I'm gonna do lava. Network. For this one I just decided to draw a router on top of the lava. Does anyone else think this kinda looks like a face? For soul sand it gave me oh my god, so I drew a Bible on top of the soul sand, and then for soul soil I got the soul of the universe. Sounds kinda ominous. I tried to fit a whole picture of the universe into a block. That's the Milky Way right there, guys. I don't know if you can see it. Now let's do a warped stem. The idea is the opposite. The opposite of a warped stem is a crimson stem, so I just did that. And next I did warped wart. Okay, I don't really know what that means. I translated it and it means I'll have to fight, so I put a couple swords on top of the block. Next let's do warped nylium. We got durable nylon. This is nylon, I think. Maybe it's yarn actually, but it's the best I could do. Now let's move on to some crimson things. Red stone. I could have just left the redstone block like this, but I decided to blend it into the crimson stem as well. Next we'll do nether wart block, and we got rest. For this one I just drew a bed on top of the block. For the last nether block I did crimson nylium, and I got blue raspberries. I just turned the block blue because it kinda looks like raspberries already. Now this is another region of the game successfully translated, and I really like how all the biomes look way different this time. I kinda forgot to translate basalt though, so we can just leave these areas alone. And now that we've been to the nether, we have to make it to the end. So next it's time for some stronghold blocks. Shipping company. FedEx is a shipping company, so I put half of the logo on the side and the other half on the top. Next let's do the eye on the portal. We got 4 things. Instead of the 4 we got, I decided to use the number instead, and I put 4 ender eyes instead of 1. Next for stone bricks, I got country road, so I drew a road, then I put some grass on the sides, and finally I added some sky on the top. And for spawner, I got image, so I just put an image on top of the spawner. You guys will never find out what image this actually is. Next, let's do a bookshelf. And we got the library. I put 2 bookshelves here, and next I added a wall in the background to make a library. And now let's do a chest. Square. I just put a big red square over top of the entire texture. This kind of looks like one of those Christmas chests that Minecraft usually has. There is a bit of cobblestone in a stronghold, so let's do that. Something appears. I drew a magic wand with a top hat beside it because magicians usually make stuff appear. Now let's do mossy stone bricks. Croc. I put a lightning McQueen croc on top of the block texture. I think they should just replace whatever block this is with this block. I mean, this looks way better. For cracked stone bricks, I got a broken brick, so I just made a bunch of holes in the brick like this, and now our stronghold is pretty much done, as you can see. And this looks very bad. I mean, why would anyone want their stronghold to look like this? But now we can enter the end for our final set of blocks. Let's start with the most common one, the last stone. Sounds like a movie. I just cut a single stone out of the texture like this. Next we'll do obsidian. Wait, I tried to draw a hand on top of the obsidian telling you to wait, but it does not look like a hand. Now let's do an end crystal. We got glass process. I just changed every part of the texture to the glass part like this. It's still technically an end crystal if you think of it. For bedrock I got table, so I just made a bedrock table. And for a chorus plant I got factory unit, so I drew a somewhat detailed factory. I especially like the prison window in the top. Next let's do a chorus flower. Flower song. I drew one of those music symbols on top of the flower like this. Now we'll do purpur. Okay, we got agreement. I drew a contract on top of the purpur because a contract is an agreement. Purpur pillars also exist, so let's do that next. We got purple. Purpur pillars are already purple, so I just made them even more purple like this. To finish off the end, we have endstone bricks as some kind of base, and we have an ender chest as everything is alright. This doesn't really look how I expected it to turn out. And with the end finished, we have successfully turned our game from normal to completely cursed. Here's a quick recap. First we have the cursed overworld right here, and then we have our weird looking caves as well. Next here are some different parts of the nether, and then we have the translated stronghold as well. Finally I bring you the cursed end dimension, which could honestly be my favorite, as it still looks kinda like the regular end dimension despite being cursed.